You like that?
Know thy enemy.
Welcome back to the Villain Report, ladies and gentlemen. I am the 313 villain, Russell Wayne. I am the UDFA of sports podcasting, the unwanted and unfiltered, unapologetic voice of the fan base that bleeds Honolulu blue. And in today's episode on Fridays, we do
Know thy enemy.
where we're going to dive in a little bit, talking a little bit about Todd Bowles, talking a little bit about these Tampa Bay Buccaneers, putting the past behind us and trying to move forward, even though there's a lot of other mess that's out there. And we even talk about that mess a little bit as well. This episode of Villain Report is brought to you by Fanatics.com. If you bleed Honolulu blue and you're rocking with the 313, then you need to gear up like the real one over at Fanatics, our official merch partner. Here's what you do. You go into that comment section. You click that link in the description, save up to 25% off of your order from our affiliate marketing partners over at Fanatics. Every click supports the channel, the page, and lets the world know the Detroit fans do it bigger and better. Villain Squad don't do knockoffs, they do official. We do Fanatics. Get yours. That's right. We just crossed over 87,000 followers, approaching 88,000 followers. Thank you for connecting with us. If you're a fan of Detroit sports, then you need to connect with me. Liking, commenting, sharing helps us get up in that algorithm and all that good stuff right there. So wherever you scroll, the villain rolls right there. It's faith, family, and then football. We use football. We don't let football use us. Saying hello to everybody.
Say hello to my little friend.
In the comment section. What's up, Davey in the house?
You just made the list.
This win is a must. Tyler's in the house.
You just made the
John's
list.
in the house. What's up, John?
You just made the list.
Danny is in the house.
You like that? You like that?
All my early risers up in here. Broski Bear's in the house.
You just made the list.
Y'all just made the list right there. So welcome to Know Thy Enemy.
Know thy enemy.
Know Thy Enemy Friday right here. And we're going to dive right into some of this Todd Bowles action, right? Todd Bowles is a coach that Dan Campbell has a little bit of history with. Let me get my notes up here. Yes, let's talk about the man steering the pirate ship, Todd Bowles. This isn't just some rookie clipboard carrier. Todd Bowles has been dialing up defenses since the late 90s. He started as a defensive coordinator at Grambling and Morehouse before grinding his way to the NFL as a secondary coach, a secondary whisperer for the Browns, secondary coach for the Cowboys, secondary coach for the Dolphins, where his relationship with Dan Campbell started there. I believe it was in Miami. Bulls turned that Cardinals defense into a blitz-happy nightmare. Top 5 in the league per chaos at every angle. Fast forward to Tampa. He did the same thing in the Buccaneers. The Super Bowl run, yeah, that defense made Mahomes run backwards. And that's Todd Bowles. The man doesn't run schemes. He builds puzzles that quarterbacks can't solve. And here's the kicker. Dan Campbell, for years, mutual respect, but no mercy. They both are old school grinders. Bowles is more of like a chess master, and Campbell's like the street fighter. Monday night, brain versus brawn. One pride preaches precision and punishment. So, even though the philosophies might be completely opposite, Todd Bowles is one smart cookie. I love this type of matchup right here. Todd Bowles is just one of those gritty, grimy coaches that you gotta beat them. You know, sometimes you can trick coaches, you know, and you can get, but you got to win a hard game. If you're gonna beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, you got to win one of those hard games. You got to win it in a way that you probably don't want to win it. He's one of those coaches that will schematically take away the stuff that you like to do the best. And I like this matchup. I mean, I like the history of the matchup. You know, the history that goes all the way back to the Central Division. You know, they have their own history of being bad for a really, really long time. And now they've been good enough. They've been good long enough that a lot of people don't remember when Tampa Bay was really bad. You know, a lot of people don't remember back in the day when the New England Patriots were really bad. So I love this matchup. Broski Bear says the Bucs are missing some key players this week. You got Mbuke, Godwin, Irvin. I'll talk about Irvin. They're probably going to get Mike Evans back. Got a lot of guys injured on that. But the thing is they've still found a way to win games. And teams that have injuries that still find their way to win games, that's a great sign that they're coached well. Which is like when I'm doing the Know Thy Enemy segment.
Know thy enemy.
I'm trying to know the opponent, and sometimes the opponent, you know, is the players more. I mean, you got to battle Baker Mayfield. I mean, this is a 4-1 team, but if you look at their 4-1, you can poke some holes in it. They've won some gritty, grimy games. And people always look at that and they'll go, well, they barely did. They did. And it's like, they won the game. Football's hard. Doesn't matter what it looks like. And if you look back through the history of Todd Bowles and his type of teams, you don't find a lot of flash. You don't find a lot of sexy stuff that goes on. You're like, oh, wow. No, you usually find some hard tough fought games that come down to the last second. Kind of looks ugly on both sides. I mean, that used to be the way that the Baltimore used to play. You know, and some of those old Jets teams can't play any offense. The old San Francisco teams with Jimmy Garoppolo. The ugly teams. Ugly. Got to win ugly. You need to learn how to win ugly. You have to learn how to win ugly if you want to go far in the NFL. You can win ugly games. Because everybody thinks that, you know, like guys like Patrick Mahomes and these quarterbacks that run all over the place and make highlights, they act like that those people don't have bad games. And sometimes you have to learn how to win a bad game. And this is one of those grimy games. That defense, I mean, they'll let you move the ball a little bit. Like walking through quicksand. You'll move the ball. It's hard to get big plays on a defense like Tampa. And then you got Baker Mayfield on the other side who can nail you with a big play. And the thing is on a team like Tampa Bay, if they get out on you and they get up by 10 points because of the way that they play and that style on defense, it's hard to come back on a team like Tampa Bay. Because everything's hard. Like I said, they'll let you move the football a little bit. In between the 20s, but then you get into that red zone. And they just make it hard. They make it hard to put it in the end zone. You force take a lot of threes. Now, the offense, it's not that the offense is bad, but they got an offense that, you know, they can quick strike on you. He loves to throw the ball to the running backs out of the backfield. That's why I knows a lot with Baker. You know, you're trying to run the backs out, always have a check down sitting there for you, and then they send those wide receivers out deep and try to make big plays. Big plays are check down. Big plays are check down. High percentage, low percentage. They play that game all day long, and because they play complementary football, that a defense that plays like their defense plays, that's very complementary to an offense that's like that. Because they can run the ball, they can check the ball down, they can get you in those 5 yards, 3 yards, 4 yards. Eat up a lot of time. Keep that low. They control the clock well. Tampa's a good team. But you got to take advantage. Broski's not bringing this stuff up the troll. These are good points. You know, we have some injuries on the secondary, right? The Lions have some injuries on the secondary, so expect that Baker Mayfield, you know, he got that memo too. And whoever they trot out there, which Tampa Bay is a good team, so I expect that all of their backup wide receivers know where to run too, because they're coached well. So regardless of who they trot out there as wide receivers, expect that they're going to go after where we're weak. And there's no Brian Branch. There may not even be Kirby Joseph. You're down your top 3 cornerbacks. But you still got some guys that are out there. I'm okay with Amik Robertson and Rock Yao-Sin, you know, as a Band-Aid in there. But expect Baker Mayfield to go after that all day long. You don't have your best running back? Expect him to go after the secondary. The secondary is the Achilles heel for the Lions this week. Expect Baker to go after it. And I'm sure that they do too. You know, another question for the Lions is the offensive line. I mean, is Decker going to be going? And the update on Kirby Joseph is they don't know, and they probably won't know until game day. But Dan Campbell had talked about sitting down Kirby Joseph because he's had this like borderline injury that keeps flaring up, but it's like getting better little bit by little bit, but he's playing through some pain and injury. They were trying to get him to the bye week. Well, honestly, because you have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers so banged up themselves, if it's my call for Kirby Joseph, I say sit him down this week. Let him have this week, the bye week, and another whole week leading up to get ready for Minnesota and get him ready for the back end stretch. I know that a lot of people look at this as a must-win game. I don't see it like that. You know, 4-3 into the bye and healthy. Getting healthy coming out of that bye, I think, is more important than just trying to win this game and, we got to make sure that we're 5-2. And really, even if Kirby's out there, if he's playing through an injury, he might cost you the game. I mean, understandably, he's healthy, then you definitely want him out there, but he hasn't been 100%. You prided yourself on your depth. You prided yourself on getting the next man ready. Prove it. This is a good chance to prove, you know, why you didn't go out and hit the big home run, because you wanted to make sure that if a couple guys got injured, you still had guys. And I still think that they have guys that will be fine in those spots, that they can play. They can adjust their defense, especially with the guys they have coming back, and they can play to their strengths and be okay. So, no, there's no report out yet that says that Kirby is going to play or he isn't going to play. And right here, Rick C. speaking some facts right here. Decker was back at practice, but I doubt that he plays this week. That's another one of those things. I want Decker back. I want Decker back for the playoffs. So, go ahead and sit him down so he can have the extra time. Dan Skipper played fine last week. Dan Skipper's a warrior. That's what the depth is supposed to be. You got cheap help that isn't embarrassing you. Skip is the new Tom Kennedy. He's the undrafted free agent, the man after my own heart, Dan Skipper. And honestly, this whole the Chief Gate. Well, before we do that, what do you think about Kirby Joseph? Do you think that they should sit Kirby Joseph this week to try to get him all healed up through the bye, even though it, puts a stress on the back end of the roster? Or do you think that they should suit him up because this game is too important? Let me know that in the comments. This is the Lion Villain Report. So I like that. I like that.
You like that?
Get those comments in there. Now, you guys brought this up right here with the Chief Gate stuff. So I'll comment on it again. And the thing is I want to comment on it because I get all week, because it's been in the media, I get a lot of people telling me quit crying about the calls. I want to tell you the difference between crying about the calls and reporting the media. Crying about the calls is just crying about the calls. You're the only fan base that's doing it. Oh, it's the Chiefs. And they're throwing posts up. And they're crying about the calls. Everybody else is just telling them to shut up. The difference between crying about the calls and what's happening with the Lions right now and them crying about the calls, why is it okay for the Lions to do it, is because it's national media. It's national media. The Lion Villain Report, one of my jobs that I self-proclaim here is that I react to what's being said out there. And the national media is the one pushing the Chiefs Gate stuff. And the fact that they lied to Dan Campbell, telling them that it came from New York, and now it can come from New York, and it has nothing to do with the play, and that it screwed over the Lions. The Lions lost the game. There's nothing they can do about it. They should have played better. There's plenty of opportunities in that game to get it right. Play well. But the national media has brought this to the forefront. Dan Campbell's a brutally honest guy. He's not going to, okay, I'm going to tell you what they told me. And it doesn't look good on the NFL. I mean, I don't care whether you think the play was good or not. The fact is they threw a flag on the play, and they did it in a way that wasn't in accordance with the rules in the NFL. They can't do that. You can't review a play after the play has already been decided and then go into it and decide to call a penalty. You can't do that. That's the problem with it. That's why it's national media right now. Got some egg on the face a little bit, NFL. You screwed that one up. You missed that. You may not have missed the call. It may have been the correct call. But you're not allowed to go in and use the review to engineer a penalty that wasn't called in the first place. So that's the problem with that. And I hate it. I don't care. I'm on the Tampa. It's going to be a loss no matter what. Even if the best that the Lions get out of the referee crap is what they always get. Apology letter from the NFL. Oops, we got that wrong. They're not going to change anything. So there is really no use crying over it. It's not even a thing. So what do you think about all that? Are we done crying about the referees yet? Can the national media stop talking about it? They're not going to change anything. Everybody already knows that Kansas City gets the calls. We should have known that going in there. That's it. Do a better job on handling your business. So, So it's the Know Thy Enemy segment right here for everybody that just jumped onto the stream right here. My name is Russell Wayne right here, and this is the Lion Villain Report. You can join me Monday through Saturday at 10 a.m. talking football, talking trash. That's what the villain does. You gotta like that. I do. You like that? And I got another one of these special videos for you that I would like to show to you. Oops, I thought I had it ready, but I don't. Let me get this. Got to get you my local video out here. But this episode is brought to you by Fanatics.com. If you're rocking with the 313 and you're down with the Honolulu Blue, then you need to gear up like the real one over at Fanatics. Click that link, save up to 25% off of your order from our affiliate marketing partners at Fanatics.
Woo! Detroit Lions!
All right. I found it. All right. I told you, I promised you that I was going to hit you up with the Ric Flair, Daddy. And the Ric Flair has something to say about the Monday night game. So, hey, Rick, Daddy, what you got, brother?
Woo! Detroit Lions! Monday Night Football! We're talking about the jet flying, limousine riding, kiss stealing, wheeling and dealing, son of a gun is in the 313. Baby, Ric Flair is going to tell you how it is. Woo! Tampa Bay better hold on tight because the Detroit Lions like to drive real fast. Ali McNeil's back. The Big Mac is on the grill. Hutch is bringing the pressure, and Goss got that woo, that 313 swagger locked in. You can call Baker Mayfield the Rebel all you want, but come Monday night, he's stepping into Ford Field. When you ride with Dan Campbell, you riding in style. So put on your shades, button up that Honolulu blue suit, and remember one thing. To be the man, you gotta beat the man. Woo!
Monday night under the lights, two crews step into the same ring. You got your quarterback with the silver tongue, the other with the swagger and the scars. This ain't polite tea time. This is Detroit. This is Ford Field. This is where promises get collected. We don't talk about taking people out. We talk about taking advantages. Opponent walks in thinking they're on vacation, we remind them they're in our town. Just in case they get confused. That's like a little tap on a kneecap with a Louisville slugger. Makes them unconfused and seeing things much clearer. Because in Detroit, Buccaneers, we come to collect what's owed. Monday night, we cash in.
Yeah, that's the Lion Villain Report right here. You can join me every day at 10 a.m. That jet flying, limousine riding son of a gun. Yep.
You just made the list!
It's nice to see you in here, Paul Jones. And Trim Reaper in the house. Josh, what's up? What did I think about the two signings this past week? And the Lions did sign a couple of guys, signing Kendall Fuller. And, I mean, I don't know that Kendall Fuller was on his, on the couch And, it's you need the help, right? You need to get some guys trained in there. And I think that the Lions like to have the younger guys that are in there. And then you got some of these guys that are on speed dial right there. And you need him to learn the defense. And the Kendall Fuller one was a sneaky one because he's been practicing. And then I believe the other one is Jamie Robinson. Just telling you a little bit about that. Jamie Robinson was from the Kansas City's practice squad. And he's somebody that they've had their eye on for a couple years. So I know that they've wanted him, and they actually had to sign him to the main roster, Jamie Robinson. And he plays safety. So I don't know. I think that those could be sneaky, good depth signings. Because they're looking for the type of guy that's, in a certain mold, of preparation. And, they don't need these guys to be at the top of the depth chart yet. And that's another good thing about the signings, because they can get them ready. And I really believe that they're going to be leaning on the front seven in this game. The game plan is going to take a lot of stress off the back end of the secondary. Because if you can use those safeties just to keep everybody in front of them, they can tackle well, and you can get pressure with your front seven. And really, I think it's going to come down to getting pressure with only using 4. I did not know that about Ric Flair. Ric Flair's actually a Lions fan. Yeah, I probably made some Dallas Cowboy fans all mad by doing the baby Stone Cold. Because Stone Cold's probably some form of Texas fan. That's all right. That bottom line is that the Texas Rattlesnake is sick of Jerry Jones shit. Oh, man. Aleem the Dream being back is a huge thing. Clogging up the middle. Detroit's defense just got a little bit meaner with Aleem McNeil in the middle. Kendall Fuller joins the fold, adding a steady secondary presence. There's going to be no Brian Branch. And don't forget, last year, Aidan Hutchinson torched. He torched that Tampa Bay offensive line. He had 4.5 sacks in that game last year. So I expect them to be able to get a lot of pressure on Baker Mayfield. And hopefully he doesn't run all over the place on him. This is a tough game, man. This is by far as all of the games that the Lions have had coming off of a loss. To lose 2 in a row, they for the last almost 3 years, they always win these games. The game after a loss. But this is the toughest one. But there's something about the way that the Lions play after a loss. It's the players, man. That's something that's built inside of the players. They just have that intestinal fortitude. They'll just come back, and I don't know. Everybody ups their game by 10%. My biggest concern for the game is the offensive line stopping that defensive line. That's a good defensive line they're bringing in here. And then that secondary of ours versus their skill positions, but they do have a lot of injuries in that spot. So here we are, backups versus backups again. I like our chances in this game. I think the Lions should win this game. And they may win it, being able to pull away from them. Because I think that they're going to need to get into, I think that we're going to be able to do some stuff against their defense. Because a lot of their injuries. Because when you have so many injuries, and you got high-end injuries in different spots and different positions, that's where it gets hard. Dealing with the same injury, actually like in the same position, you can compensate for that because you can use the other positions to fill in around. But if you have high-end stuff at different levels of the defense, then that's not as good. And on offense, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they're missing offensive linemen, they're missing wide receivers, they're missing their number one running back. So it's kind of like all on Baker. Got to stop Baker Mayfield. And then everybody else got to do their job. Offensively, last week, we got held to 17 points. And we have Penei Sewell. And anytime Penei Sewell doesn't have a good game, there's something about his next game that you don't want to be a defensive lineman. Can't see him having 2 bad games in a row. We just don't do that. Our brand of football. We bounce back. That's what we do. So, but this is the hardest test that the Lions have had coming off of a loss. It's nice when you run into Jacksonville the next week or the Bears. Even though the Bears look a little bit better. They look a little bit better now. Can't judge a book by the cover. There's something to be said with that, Rick. I like that comment right here.
You like that?
As long as we play our brand of football, then we win. When we try to match another team's brand, then we suck. There's a lot to be said about that. But I still believe that last week's game, it's overcomplicated with all this referee talk and all that. The Lions didn't do this and they didn't do that. You didn't get off the field on 4th down. And you didn't stay on the field on 4th down. You saw some uncharacteristic stuff. That's why I'm not worried about it. Amon-Ra St. Brown dropped a 4th down pass. I have to ask myself, am I worried about that? And I'm not. I'm not worried about all of a sudden Amon-Ra St. Brown dropping all the 4th down passes. We're going to go forward on 4th down again, and Amon-Ra St. Brown will be fine. When they get on 4th down, don't commit penalties. Don't commit penalties on 3rd down. Don't give them free sets of downs. Buckle up on that 4th down. That was the whole difference in the game. That's it. I mean, if you flip-flopped all those 4th downs, and had the Lions get all the ones that they didn't and and miss all the ones that they did, they just had a bad day on 4th down. I mean, just think of one. You go into one of those fourth downs and the game could have been completely different. I mean, you're going forward on fourth down. On a 4th and 2, Amon-Ra St. Brown dropped that pass. If he didn't drop that pass at the first down, you go down and you probably score a touchdown on that drive. You know? So instead of going down 10, you're up by 4. That changes the dynamic of the game. One play. One play. That's what always cracks me up about a lot of shows that, you know, they get in and they diagnose all these teams. Oh, there's a problem here. There's no problem. Every game comes down to a couple plays. How were you in those plays? You know, on the surface, you look at 30-17, it looks like a blowout. You look at that game. If you didn't watch the game, you'd think it was a blowout. If you didn't watch the game, you wouldn't realize that it was a 3-point game in the fourth quarter. That's how quickly those games turn on a dime. And how quickly one mistake can snowball out. You know, both teams playing, you know, slugfest football all the way up into that point. I mean, think about how big those mistakes are. One Amon-Ra St. Brown drop. One, I went too far in my extension with a quarterback hit. You know? A really, really ticky-tack holding call that turns into a brand new set of downs. You know, that Rock Ya-Sin holding call that gave them a brand new set of downs, they could have not called that. But they did, so it doesn't matter. But that's momentum. Momentum's the huge thing. It's a huge thing. It's so much bigger than all of the problems that us talking heads can come out here and talk about. Oh, what are they going to do without this player? What are they going to do without that player? The next man up will play. And he'll either become a star or he'll get exposed and move down the depth chart. But all of these guys can play. They all can play. There's no bad players in the NFL. Even extended out into the practice squad, 69-man rosters. There's no bad players. And I'm excited, man. I'm excited to see Aleem McNeil out there. The big man. The big man. The Big Mac is back. Big Mac is on the grill. Of course, they can claim it was a blowout. It was. I mean, by the NFL standards, it was a blowout, Rick. By NFL standards, you lose by 13 points in the NFL. It was a blowout. When I see those types of spreads, it was a blowout. But it could have not been a blowout. Very, very with one or two plays. Really, I could go into one play. Amon-Ra St. Brown makes that catch that he always makes. That game, I bet you that game turns out completely different. I don't know if the Lions win the game, but momentum's a real thing. And they were going down to take a lead. And you know, that is what it is. Everything in momentum. You got to play well in those big moments. Football is nothing but a game of volleying tennis. Just same thing in tennis. You know, you got plays on offense and defense. You're just hitting the ball back and forth. Sometimes you score. and you're playing this time and possession and control game, volleying back and forth, but there's 5 or 6 plays within that volleying that are intense, bring it to the edge type of plays. And our coach loves to force those plays. Those 4th down plays, those are the pivotal plays. You know, how were you on 3rd down? You know, 1st and 2nd down. I mean, those are all the filler plays. 1st and 2nd down, 1st and 2nd down. Now, 1st and 2nd down can dictate, you know, how hard your 3rd down is. And if your offense is so awesome that you don't even need to go to 3rd down, I guess 1st and 2nd down means something. But this is the NFL. You're going to 3rd down. So those 3rd and 4th down plays, if your guys can execute when the blood pressure's really high, everybody's got the giddiness going, you know, you can really boil every NFL game down to 5 or 6 plays. 4th down plays, big 3rd down plays, big plays. And you got to be big in those moments. And you look back in those moments on the last game, like you say, those 5 or 6 plays. You got to win those plays. Don't drop the ball, Amon-Ra. Yeah. So, the NFL world, the national media, talking about this 4th down call. And this isn't the Lions' fault, John Dorn. Nobody's crying about an illegal play. It's national media. This isn't just crying about a hold call that was missed, and now my team lost, and nobody else is talking about it. Literally, all 32 teams, national media, all other outlets are talking about this. It's not crying; it's reporting. You got to talk about what's out there. You should learn that for your own show. We're talking about it. We're talking about that illegal play. That's part of the topic that is today. He's allowed to talk about. He's allowed to talk about it. And when you talk about national media type of stuff, it's like you have to realize that the world doesn't revolve around Packer news. I don't want to talk about it. I hate it. I hate talking about referee bullshit. It doesn't matter. It's not like it's going to change anything. You know? Yeah. Say that they come out and they find out, yes, the NFL lied to Dan Campbell. What are they going to do? They're not going to do anything about it. They're not going to take a win away. They're not going to do anything. It's going to be on the front of the news and everybody will talk about it. Oh, the NFL is so bad. They're not going to change anything. They're not going to take a win away. I mean, they're going to send us some flowers. They're going to send us an apology note. That's what they do all the time. You know, we might have got that wrong. Okay. It's like one of those apologies that you get when you're calling customer service. Oh, I am very sorry to hear that you're having problems. No, you're not. We will be able to compensate you. You just have to fill out this 25-page report. And then we will send you your $3.95 in 6 to 8 weeks. Have I fully satisfied your customer service call? Would you be willing to take a survey afterwards to tell you how great this is? Our customer service is so great. Oh, man. No, I don't want to take a survey. I don't want an apology letter from the NFL. But apparently, we'll probably get one. Or no, maybe they may take their egos all the way to the grave with them. And they won't admit that they handled it wrong. Because Dan Campbell's statement really puts the NFL and those referees that were on that play in a trick bag. Like, they're damned that they do, they're damned that they don't. They either got to tell on themselves, they have to tell on themselves, or they have to throw the NFL under the bus. So I think that we may have hit a critical mass point, and that a referee might have to come out into the public and admit that he got something wrong, because I really doubt that the NFL is going to throw themselves under the bus. Yeah, we screwed it up. No, this is on you. You're going to have to get hit by that train. That's what the NFL is telling the referees right now. Nope, we're not getting out in front of that one. Nope. No, so I don't want that BS apology that you get from customer service from the NFL. Like, I wish that they would just stop talking about it, so I wouldn't have to talk about it. It's out there. You know, what I love is great football, and I really believe that we're going to get a great, like, football matchup between the Lions and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I mean, this is turning into kind of a knockdown drag out. You know, we went through the history of that. We had Throwback Thursday yesterday, if you weren't part of that show. And, you know, I kind of went back into the archives and looked at some of these old NFC Central black and blue division matchups between the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Detroit Lions, you know, with Barry Sanders and Rodney Peete, reliving some of those names in there. And now, most recently, this Dan Campbell versus Todd Bowles. Just a good matchup, man. It's been a good game. Even when the Lions won 20-6 a couple years ago, that game was a lot closer than 20-6. That game was also a one-score game going into the fourth quarter. So this is a good, gritty, grimy matchup here. Man, you see, this is the part right here. This is the ignorance right here. I'm going to call this out because this is the part that needs to be talked about right here. It was an illegal play. They may have gotten it right, but the whole thing was wrong in the way that they handled it at the end of the play. You are not allowed to review a play and throw a penalty into the play. The penalty was not called during the play, therefore it was illegal the way that they handled it. It has no bearing whether the play was good or not. The point is they missed it, and they were not allowed, per NFL rules, to go back and legislate a play or a penalty into the play. That's the problem. It has nothing to do with the play, John. And we're not crying about it. It's national media, bro. Learn something about it. It might help you on your own show. You have to talk about the stuff that people are talking about. That's the way that these shows work, John. Allow me to educate you on how these shows work. I'm not crying about it. I just did a 10-minute bit on how I'm sick of talking about it. How the game, there's nothing that can be done about it. Even if they cried their way all the way to the NFL Supreme Court, it doesn't even matter. The most that you're going to get is an apology letter and a customer service call that says, "Oh, we're very sorry that you were inconvenienced, John. How was my customer service? Will you take a survey when this call is over, John?" No, the fan bases cry, John. You're right. The fan base is just like the Packers cried over a non-holding call at the end of that Browns game because you couldn't handle the fact that the Browns beat you. Same thing you did. You cried all week long. As a matter of fact, I had Packer fans crying on my post about that game. Oh, there was a holding call. Why didn't they call it on the... Your fan base is the biggest whiny fan base that there is. The worst fan base like that. You're either whining about it or you're going to witness protection. You're only here because you won last week. Haven't seen you. No accountability for the Browns loss. No accountability for tying the Dallas Cowboys. John, you just need some attention, but you don't get the right kind of attention on this show. You can't fix stupid. Learn what crying is. Learn the difference between crying and reporting. And ask Juju who got bullied at the end of that game. You know, because I don't think that the media is portraying it how you're seeing it. Who bullied who at the end of that game? He got bullied during the game. And he punked out. He so punked out Juju. Judo slammed him to the ground. And he actually said the words, what did the five fingers say to the face? Slap! So, you know, whether I agree with what happened, I know rules of the street. And Juju tried to punk him, and it got real at the end of it. It is. Juju did not get the last laugh. Juju got a busted nose. And he got endless memes with him on the ground, judo slammed, with Brian Branch over top of him. Juju got owned in that game. And that's another justifiable complaint that Lion fan can have about the referees. I mean, Juju got fined for the hit that he put on him that was illegal. So yeah, Brian Branch lost his cool at the end of the game, and he got fined for bitch slapping Juju. And then when Juju came after him, he judo slammed him. That was great. That was the best part, is that he tried to react, and then he ended up on his ass. He let him know who, you know, if this spilled out into the parking lot, we know who would have won. But you got to keep your cool, though. You got to keep your cool. You know, as funny as a meme is right there, you know, you can't make yourself unavailable. I mean, frankly, I was talking about this yesterday, is you can't put your team in that kind of position. And the thing is like, if you want that type of stuff to stop, you got to stop finding these people money. I mean, he could have borrowed the fine money from one of his rich buddies for doing that. What they got to do, and I know that Lion fan wouldn't want this right now. I wouldn't want this, but they got to make the suspensions longer. Brian Branch really does need to thank his lucky stars that it was only a 1-game suspension. You know, all kidding aside, all memes and, you know, joking aside, he's lucky that that was only a 1-game suspension. I mean, this is like his 13th offense of losing his cool like that. So that right there, to me, is a sign of a real problem. And Brian Branch is probably one of my favorite players on the team. And you're in the third year of your 4-year rookie deal. And you're going to expect this team at the end of this season to be thinking about paying you in upwards of $20 million a year. And it'll probably happen. They're going to re-sign Brian Branch long term. But you gotta clean up the mental stuff right there. And I'm sure that they're going to be monitored. If this happens a couple more times, you're going to have to really start thinking, you know, does the talent outweigh the problem? And I don't think that Brian Branch is going to be a problem. I think that he should thank his lucky stars that it was only a 1-game suspension, because I think the next time that it happens, they're going to throw the book at him. You know, gets suspended 4 games or 6 games or something like that. So what do you think of that thought right there? I mean, this is another thought I've kind of came back to. You're already down Brian Branch, which tells me I think that Kirby Joseph is probably going to play in the game. And I don't know. I don't know about that. John the bad guy, you know, during the broadcast was talking about that when Kirby Joseph went off the field during that game. Why are we playing these guys when they're even a little bit injured? And I think that there's part of that you kind of have to do, because I think that all players they're really injured by the middle of the season. Everybody's dealing with something. But the bad guy's comment made me, it made me start thinking about this stuff. Are they making a mistake? Let it calm down. Let that injury calm down. You preach next man up, let the next man up play. Get him in there. We need Kirby Joseph in week 18 and week 19 and week 20. I mean, I would love to have him in this game if he was at full strength. You know what I'm saying? But this is the Know Thy Enemy segment. It's something I like to do each week. We dove into a little bit of Todd Bowles this week. We talked a little bit about this penalty call that the national media is forcing us to talk about. What's going to come of that? We talked about the strengths and weaknesses of this Tampa Bay team and how we match up against them on this Know Thy Enemy. So thank you for being part of this show.
Ooh, yeah. It's the 313 Villain Squad. Yeah. UDFA of Sports Podcasting. Yeah. The Macho Man's getting prepared to go to the top of Ford Field and drive an elbow right into the heart of Baker Mayfield. Yeah. Get the 1, 2, 3. Yeah, dig it. 4 quarters. Bring it. Brought to you by Fanatics.com. Use the link
Save up to 25% off of your order from our affiliate marketing partners at fanatics.com. Are you a fan of Detroit sports? Connect with the villain. Liking, commenting, sharing. That's how you can help out. We're on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, X, wherever you scroll, the villain rolls. It's faith, family, then football. We use football to spend time with our family. We don't let football use us. We don't let it change us when we lose. Don't let it change you. Use football. Don't let football use you. May the Lord bless you. May the Lord keep you. May the Lord shine his face upon you until we meet again. In Jesus' name, amen. Amen. Thank you, everybody, for being a part of the Friday version of the Villain Report. Know thy enemy. I'll see you tomorrow. Peace out.
Monday night under the lights, two crews step into the same ring. You got your quarterback with the silver tongue, the other with the swagger and the scars. This ain't polite tea time. This is Detroit. This is Ford Field. This is where promises get collected. We don't talk about taking people out. We talk about taking advantages. Opponent walks in thinking they're on vacation, we remind them they're in our town. Just in case they get confused. That's like a little tap on a kneecap with a Louisville slugger. Makes them unconfused and seeing things much clearer. Because in Detroit, Buccaneers, we come to collect what's owed. Monday night, we cash in.